Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Coffee Club podcast. We're doing another international episode, breaking down barriers, using the power of the internet to reach Boulder, Colorado, all the way here from St. Moritz, where George and I are currently sitting. But as we said last week, Ollie is back on the show to give the big rundown of what has been a pretty crazy 2 weeks, I guess, since his last on the show when we previewed London and all that. So that's what today's mostly going to be about. We'll just do the deep dive. But before that, we do have a bean shout out
from London and from friend Logan, according to the bag, through Mario and then Yard and then Ollie. It really got passed through some hands. Caravan Coffee Roasters. We've been having them at the On House, and with the nice espresso machine. Lambworks. No, I like that.
What does that mean?
I think Lambworks is like the suburb of London. Oh. Lambworks, I don't know. Caravan Coffee Roasters. Thanks, Logan.
Thank you very much, Logan. We appreciate it a lot. Made it all the way through all those hands onto the podcast. So
almost gone. A couple of beans left in the bottom.
We appreciate it. And guys, I don't know if you heard us talk about Camelback enough last month, but they're back again for this month. So I guess we're doing something right. So not that we planned out any of our other ad reads, but this one is especially unplanned. Do have to say, use code Coffee Club for 20% off on the website, all full priced items now through the month of August. I forgot what month it was, but yeah, Camelback's still getting it done. We still got our faithful big jugs of water, our vessels. For someone really liked last time that I said the phrase, what was it? Hydration.
Yeah.
What is it? What's
that was in the comments?
Hydration, solution. No, hydration.
I don't know, but it sounded really smart.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
It's the summer of Camelback.
Hydration solution? Whatever it is, they do all that.
And hydration? I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, they do all that and much more, in fact, much more. They're trying to support the sport of running, and they support the podcast. So please show them some support because we appreciate it a lot. And yeah, they're just trying to, I mean, if they're supporting us, they're just trying to get really involved back in the community and do some cool stuff. So, hey, if you need a bottle or any other form of hydration solution, go to Camelback, use code Coffee Club, all caps, no spaces, 20% off. Great value. But with that out of the way, I think it's time to just hop straight into it. And I think we'll let Ollie do. I remember last time, so like we're doing this episode over the internet, so it kind of lends itself to long monologues because the back and forth dialogue is a little more tricky. So I'm anticipating a very nice monologue here, but just to preface it, last time we talked, Ollie was previewing London, and he had mentioned on the show that he had a bit of issues with around his penis area and a bit of uncertainty. And then, I mean, pretty much after that, things got pretty crazy. But I won't do any more of the talk, and I'll let you take over. Ollie, if you just want to kind of run us through like those 7 or 10 days of madness.
Yeah, no, thank you, boys. Good to be back. Obviously, you don't have the usual view of St. Moritz, which is a shame, but we have to do what we can with the time difference. Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy time. As most people or listeners know from the podcast, Ollie doesn't really know how to deal with injuries. He hasn't really had that kind of situation pop up, and it's bound to happen in someone's career, or in anybody's career in running, and it's happened to me in a very unusual time. Definitely felt like taking a step back from London for me during my pelvis penis injury. I thought, we'll just rest it. We'll look at kind of progressing back in, because the kind of niggle injury that I felt before I got the information was much more of a soreness, tightness, like you've been training hard and it's just a bit sore, and then it gets cool, like kind of calms down. So fortunately enough, thanks to Thomas from OEC Europe, the head coach there, he was able to help Dathan schedule an MRI appointment in St. Moritz. St. Moritz has everything but decent coffee and reasonable prices, but it's nice to have an MRI machine. So I went in there, did the MRI machine thing, which was cool.
Is that your first MRI?
I was going to ask that.
That was my first MRI, and I signed a board. They had you walk in, this old Swiss lady was told me to take my clothes off. I put on this garbage bag kind of top and bottoms, and then there's this wall with all these signatures on it from athletes, and she told me to sign it before my MRI. I was like, okay,
that's not a wall you want to be on.
That's kind of a weird flex, but all right. I guess I signed it, went on to the MRI, and then I sat in the waiting room with Ritz. I was pretty optimistic because I felt like it's gotten better. I took 3 days off. I ran 4 or 5 miles with Joe and George, and then I ran 8 miles with Yara, and everything still felt not 100%, but it felt like it was recovering. And then I got the results, and the doctor just kind of looks at me very Swiss-like and said, "I know what the problem is." And then my pubis symphysis area was light up like a Christmas tree, and they thought that I had a tear, or what they refer to as a sports hernia, very, very small one, minuscule, to the point where Dathan couldn't see it, in there as well. And I sat there and I kind of just went into a bit of shock, because everything was running through my head of this is not something that's good. It's not something that's going to be a fixing situation. And I sat in the waiting room waiting to pay for the MRI, and Dathan and I could see Dathan's face was not ideal. He didn't look particularly happy, and I kind of knew my gut feeling. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what I had to do. I just had to convince myself to tell him and make that decision. But Dathan obviously said that through his experience with his career and with injuries, the best thing you can do, particularly for me, was to not run for the rest of the season, shut it down. He said there is the option of taking some painkillers, training through that 3 weeks, running at Worlds, but the setback would be that it would take a longer time and obviously cause more harm to the injury, could cause a possibility of surgery if I did that. And Dathan kind of just sat me down and said, "You're not here to participate. You've taken 3 years, and in every year you've been up there as one of the best 1500 runners in the world. You're in the top 5, top 10 in the rankings. You're not there to participate. You're there to run for a medal and to compete at your best ability. And we want to have a long career for you. And I know it's tough, but I believe Dathan's opinion was to shut it down, as well as me. And I kind of broke down, had a good cry, because I think mentally, athletes at that situation, you're 3 weeks up for the biggest meet of the year, and our lives are pretty nice. You have a lot of pros with our profession, but the cons are kind of the sudden changes in those plans, and they can happen at any point. And Morgan and George have all gone through those experiences as well. Now I have, and I felt like it was tough, but we booked a flight the next day. I got to say my goodbyes briefly, but not to a lot of the teammates, which was kind of challenging. And then it was a very long trip back to Boulder, Colorado. I think I left at 6 a.m. in St. Moritz. I got in at 3 a.m. The next day because I had a lot of delays in my flights from San Francisco. So that was tough. I didn't sleep well. I had another cry on the train. I was just processing the situation and trying to make sure that I know, convincing myself it's a good decision. It's not going to affect, anything of opinions of the brands that sponsor me or the opinions of my teammates or my coach, that I've done the right thing. But you always question yourself in those situations, and particularly when you're by yourself and you're not talking to anyone about it, it is very challenging. But I got back, I was able to reset. Gussie welcomed me with open arms. Thank you to Jenna for looking after him, and he's been good company since. And then progressing with that, I was able to get an appointment with Dr. Cabalas, who is a very talented doctor here in Boulder who works with athletes in particular. He did an ultrasound, and I got a good prognosis that there was no tear. It was just, he said there was a lot of inflammation around that pubis symphysis area. Because I don't feel pain walking, doing general tasks, it's only running and really fast running. That's also a good prognosis. So the plan from then on was 6 weeks, 6 weeks of no running, going into cross training. And then after 6 weeks, the reason why we stopped it was because I think at the start of October is when I can go back to full training. And that's when the whole team is going to be back training. And it'll obviously improve my chances going back into 2024, which is a very big year to perform at my best and obviously be better. That's the plan. And yeah, so the idea was, he said, to throw the kitchen sink at it, might as well get a PIP injection. So I got 3. I got 1 right above the genitals. Actually, no, I got 2 right above the genitals, and I got 1 on the side of my leg. And it was an awkward experience, to say the least. But I didn't feel any pain. I felt a bit of pressure, and a bit, like, obviously from the local anesthetic, you feel a bit funny with it, but it was solid. My mum, God love her, she felt like I needed her, which she's probably right, but I feel like I'm an adult. She came out, flew out straight away. She had a bit of time off work and was able to look after me, drive me back from the appointment. And now I'm just resting. I haven't run for about a week. I'll slowly get back into general cross training, but the big thing that I'm going to be doing is a lot of swimming. So I'm going back to my roots from high school, and I'm going to contact my coaches from there and just swim my ass off, keep as fit as possible without stressing out my pelvis and groin area. But that's the plan with cross training. I've booked a flight home, which will be next week, and I'll be able to go home, swim and train in Australia, and enjoy kind of my time off while I watch my amazing teammates compete for the rest of the season. So that's kind of the monologue of what's going on with me. I've struggled to sleep. It's been a hard process to kind of readjust your mental focus from one of the most important points of the year to realizing that it's over. You have to let it go and then progress to, being patient and moving forward to 24. So that's been nice. It's been a bit lonely in Boulder. There's no one really here. I haven't seen Carmela or Helen, who are the other 2 teammates that are in Boulder, and Kelsey's been great. I caught up with her when I got my ultrasound and kind of touch base with Dr. Cabalas. So yeah, that's pretty much everything going on here.
Yeah, that was a good breakdown. What can I add to that? I just want to. I'll probably just say that. I mean, no one thinks any less of you for making that decision. Like, obviously, yeah, there were a couple of days where you were running, and kind of we all had a bit of hope, and you had a bit of hope, but I think it's got to be the right decision, and even though it's such a hard time to make that call, yeah, I think in the scheme of things, like with the timing of it, you'll be good to go in the fall and have a nice build up for next year, and yeah, man, it was we had a tough goodbye, and it sucks not having you here, and it'll suck not having you in Budapest, and kind of going through these last few weeks all together, and yeah, that's hard for all of us, and team's not the same without you over here, but we're all behind you, and I think it's so good that we can talk about it on the pod and show that most of the time on the pod we have a great time, and there we can share some highlights of the sport, and then there are times where we can share that there's some pretty low lows, and Morgan shared a lot of them, and that's been really hard for him, and then we can share them around a bit, and I think it's all for the good in the end, and yeah, we're all behind you.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. It's just as soon as you made the decision, everyone was like, yeah, that's like, we're all behind you on that. Like, that's the decision you got to make, as much as it sucks, because yeah, as you said, you're still in amazing shape, and you could technically have done it, like gotten to world champs, gotten the start line, but it's just not worth it when you think about the long-term potential repercussions of that, and especially even the more intermediate term with next year being 2024 Olympics Paris, which is probably less than a year away now, I guess. I don't really know. So I think,
The
yeah, it
interesting
is.
fact to that was when I made the decision. I got on social media and it said it was a year till Paris when I made that decision.
Damn.
So that was an interesting part of it. It was like, well, I have a year now. So that was because I remember seeing all the posts from What Athletics and from other people saying it's 1 year. So yeah, that's why I was like, well, this is a good time to then shut it down. So.
Yeah, and that's like the mindset shift that you have to just make is like, it's Olympics. It's all about Olympics. I know it's really hard to go from like, because you were completely on the gas in terms of this season. Everything's been like pointing in the right direction. To go from that one day to the next day to be like, oh, I'm on my like season break right now, is just so weird. Because even in a normal season, it feels weird when we take a break because we're so used to being so on all the time. So especially the fact that you're in Boulder on your own. At least your mom is there. That's lovely.
Yeah, shout out to mom. Yeah.
Yeah, because normally we would be able to take advantage of the time off together and like go do some fun stuff like we did last year and the previous couple of years. But it's so good that you get to go back to Australia as well and, reconnect with your roots, because you haven't been able to spend the time back there that we know that you wanted, especially after like winning your Commonwealth Games gold. I think it's like, it would have been awesome if you could have gone back and kind of enjoyed that in Australia a bit more. But since then, like the couple of times that you've been back have been much more like business trip like, and even the Christmas break one was like not super long or anything. So I think it'll be really cool. And we were joking before we started about this could be Ollie's potential rise into the triathlon. I was going to say that you need to, because On, started as a triathlon company in some ways. So you got to take over from, I just think it'd be amazing if you just did it and then you beat Christian Blumenfeld pretty much. Take out.
You actually just join Christian and Gustav, train with Olaf from now on.
Mate, they're incredible athletes. But that would be the funny thing would, because obviously I have the mid D kind of specialty at the moment in running. I'd have to do sprint triathlon, which is still like distance for us. Like it's 10K run, 5K run or something like that. I think it's a 10K run in the Olympics.
10K Olympics.
Yeah, 1,500 meter swim, very long. So like swimming back in when I used to swim in high school, I was mostly 100 fly, 200 free. Doing 1,500 meter swimming would be an interesting change. But yeah, no, I'll shout it out to Olaf. I'll send him a message to him that I'm come for his boys. Come for his boys.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Dathan wouldn't know what to do, man.
I got to tell you a story. I got to tell you a story with Dathan before we move on, which I thought was just shows you what type of coach he is. Well, everyone was kind of doing their own thing, and I went to do my swimming session, and I think because of maybe my physique as well as having an Olympic rings tattoo, no one got in my lane, so I had my lane to myself, and I was just hammering swimming sessions, and Dathan wanted to come check up on me. So when you swim, you usually stay on one side of the lane, and then you tumble turn, you go on the other side of the lane. Ritz wanted to come in with me and do some aqua jogging because he just wanted to be involved. And then he would aqua jog all the way to halfway. This is a 25-meter pool for reference. He would aqua jog all the way halfway and then all the way back. And by the time he did that, it'd be one rep for me, which is about 300 meters of swimming. And he'd be only on one side of the lane. So I had to like maneuver and like go around him every time.
Get out my way, bro.
And splash him as well. I felt bad. But he was a good swimmer in his own right. He actually a decent swimmer as well. So but that was funny. He wanted to connect in that way and just make sure I was doing all right. And I thought that was pretty funny and endearing in a way because it's such a different. I mean, swimming is such a different sport to running, even though they've got very similar attributes in being individual and being kind of very, very big at the Olympics, particularly for Australia. But yeah, it was fun swimming up there in that pool, and I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of swimming moving forward.
I would have loved to see Ritz with a stopwatch, like trying to take splits and understand what they mean. Just be like, I don't know what this number is.
Well, if anyone has seen Dathan coach at a race, you know that he is there something like beyond empathy? Like when you, like what he feels for his athletes is just like extreme loyalty and just so much passion. So when one of his athletes is going through a difficult situation, he feels the same.
He's going through it.
He's also
going through the exact same thing.
And also,
100%.
I would say I would extend that to the team a bit. Like there's kind of like a pulse of the team, and like what George said before, not having Ollie here, like having you here is like so weird because you've been probably like, well, not probably, like between like you, Alicia, like these guys that have been here since day one, you've been probably the most consistent, like high performer, always there setting the standard. And so it is very weird to not have you here. And
it's tough on the pod too. Ollie's been the one with the broadest shoulders. Just all the expectations on the podcast that's just been Ollie like hammering away for us, like putting us at the forefront. Now it's
post about. I got nothing to post about.
Now it's falling on me and Morgan to pick up the slack. So
well, there's two positives. There's two positives. One, you're getting more of an intelligent podcast because I'm not saying dumb shit all the time and having these crazy hot takes and getting people's names wrong. And number two, the intelligence of the team has just skyrocketed since I got on that train back to Boulder. So you guys are actually going to have more common sense now without me there screwing that up. But it is weird, like just being back here because you're in, particularly with Boulder, and I'm sure people know this with family or with close friends in that kind of niche circle. When they're not here, it just feels like a very empty place. I've been walking around Boulder with mum and getting coffee and telling her, stories about where the team would go. We'd do like, stuff here, or we'd get drinks and pizza here. And that's when you definitely feel the gap of the team not being there. So I'm looking forward now to the end of the season when everyone's back so I can hang out with them again. So that'll be fun. But I'll be obviously watching you guys and cheering you on from afar, and the biggest supporters of the team and all you guys. So I'm sure I'm going to be shedding a few tears at the results that come through, which will be very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's still worth mentioning, even though, we build up Worlds as the peak of the season. Like, it doesn't mean that, the season was like wasted for you. Like you still had an epic season. Like you still broke a pretty incredible Australian record, Oceania record in the 1500. You literally won a medal this year at World Cross. Like you still got podium at a Diamond League, podium at Millrose. Like there's still so many positive takeaways, even if like the main goal of the season didn't come to fruition. There's so many positives along the way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
I've repeated. Yeah, I repeated that phrase. Sorry, Morgs. I've repeated that phrase to myself and to other people when they've checked up. I mean, a lot of people have, which is amazing. To shout out to all those messages from a lot of professional runners and former professional runners who have mentioned about the similar injury or kind of confirming my stance on the decision to make. I mean, it's great to see that like a lot of them said that they wish they did that or they did that and then they were able to come back from it. And I really appreciate all those messages because that's the community I'm in, and I have so much respect for them and for the way how hard the sport is sometimes making those calls. But I've written a little thing, and I know Morgan does this sometimes too, where a little quote on my wall is like, "What's a good story without a bit of adversity?" Because at this point in time, like this will be a great thing to learn from it and to grow from. And I'm sure you, Morgan and George, both have had setbacks in careers, and like you've learned and been able to progress and actually excel from them. So that's my plan to do. And I just got to make sure that the healing of Mountain Dew and DoorDash will maybe keep my pelvis in check. And if not, then I will have to step away from it. But we'll see how that all plays out. Obviously, it's different with my mum here. I have to keep up impressions that I actually am a healthy eater. So I haven't done any of that stuff yet. So, yeah.
Good boy. Wow, that's exactly it right there. I think that's kind of like a nice note to leave that topic on for today because, yeah, that's exactly it. One thing, you did mention the names before, and I wanted to do a little callback to El Baklava because we had a few comments about it. People did really appreciate that nickname. One confirmed that it is, in fact, like a big dish in Morocco, so it is very appropriate.
It's valid. It works.
Valid. We had a lot of people saying El Broccoli.
That's actually the more obvious one. That's good.
Yeah.
And then we had this really out there reach of one. I'll say it to you, Ollie, and I mean, I've never actually said this out loud, so we'll see how it goes. L, but call me maybe.
So like
What
Kylie
do you
Rae
think?
Jepsen, but call me
Exactly.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're all brilliant, and I love that people are getting involved and enjoying this play on words, as you would say. I think it's a term of endearment when you bring it to an athlete. But I have to say, El Broccoli is a good one. El Bakomi maybe is that's a hard one to pronounce. El Baklava though is my favorite. I just love that one because if it is a big dish in Morocco, then it gives a sense of pride for El Bakali in that kind of cool way. Yeah, I love that. I keep going. I mean, my mum's getting into it too. Like we'll be having dinner, and she'll use reference saying like, "Oh, does Carl Membrane work for Darcity's Mag?" And hearing my mum say that out loud when we're around people, and then she'll like, I mean, when I was getting the needles in my groin, and Dr. Caballas was talking about, Jakob and how well he's done this season, my mum just corrected him and called him Jingy, and then they all laughed because Dr. Caballas is also a listener of the pod. So that's always fun when people jump onto it and have those references. So yeah, that's I like all three of them. We could also mix and match. It's nice to be spontaneous and spice it up. So we can mix and match for El Bakali.
Yeah, he can have his own, like, in our next shirt, he can have a whole shrine to him with all his different references. But so I don't really know what we should we do an update on us next? Just make it quick.
I'd like to know. Yeah.
Let's do that. We'll fill Ollie in what's been happening here.
You want to go first?
Which is absolutely nothing.
Same old.
Same old. Heat training is not going well.
It's so cold here.
We had I think the high today was 8 or 9 degrees Celsius, basically like high 40s in Fahrenheit. So it was pants and jacket this morning and pants and jacket this afternoon. Which maybe am I getting some heat adaptations from sweating? No, I don't think so. I was still cold.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been going well, but a couple of trips down to Chiavenna in Italy, which is nice and humid, which I think is very valuable. And we had a nice big long threshold session there 2 days ago. Probably the last I think the longest day I have on the schedule until Worlds, and kind of the last big threshold day. So that was kind of nice to tick that box. Had Morgan in with the boys kind of for the first time.
Yeah, it was actually. And I didn't really think about the gravity of that, but
that was nice. And
it's back.
And a nice €10 lunch and coffee in Italy, as opposed to a €30 or 30 franc option up here.
Yeah.
Which
That'd
is
be
kind
nice.
of the highlight of going down there. And it's freaking beautiful. So no complaints. And that is just been getting bullied in Mario Kart by Yared a little bit. I honestly forgot how good he was. I was playing a little bit without him. And even I'm terrible, but I can like beat the computer on hard like pretty easily. I was like feeling myself a little bit.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm actually getting good at this. Yared comes up and plays with Mario. I came like 11.
Exact same thing happened to me.
Oh, it was not good.
Ollie and I was scheming. Like we were practicing every day, like once or twice. And then I was like, all right, well, we've done like our practice. I'll go challenge Yared. And it just was not even close. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how long I have to play to catch up to that guy, but he is far too good. And it is not fair at all. So I don't know what we're going to do.
He's a master. He's a master.
Well, I guess my last week has been a bit eventful because I went to Italy.
Oh yeah, you did. You went to Italy properly, not just the hour drive to Chiavenna.
Yeah. So for me, my status in regards to getting selected for Worlds so they said that, I guess I'm already violating it. They said you're not allowed to say anything until it's public knowledge on Monday. So I'm not going to say anything.
I'm just looking at Morgan right now, like.
So we'll just leave it there. So we'll talk about that more next week, I guess. But
when I find out something without saying anything.
My parents booked the trip to Budapest. My parents are going to Budapest. That's all I can say right now.
and it just happened to line up.
That's all I can say.
What
That's all I can
timing? What timing from your parents? What timing?
say. Yeah. So
What are they doing there?
they haven't told me yet. We'll work it out, I guess. We'll see.
All right.
Seeing the cultural
TBD.
sites. Seeing the cultural
TBD.
sites.
But so last
Actually,
weekend,
Morgan's mum's running.
she snuck onto the team. But so last weekend was quite a few countries had their national championships, and one of them being Italy. So I took the trip down to Molfetta in the south of Italy with Cinta, where she did amazing, competed in the 1500 meters, got the dub, her first national title for Italy. So it was awesome. Man, it's a nice place there. It was very warm, like beautiful. The beaches there are a little, when you come from like Australian beaches, like some of the European beaches are a little bit weird because they're not like nice sand, but the water is so good, so refreshing, very salty. But just being there in the sun after the cold here in St. Moritz was amazing. So we had a great trip, and just so much good, cheap food, and I could just live there forever and just eat so much food. I'd probably get so fat. I don't know, but it was amazing. And then we had a couple of other teammates with their national championships as well. Shout out to Jonas, Swiss 5K champ.
For the 6th time, I saw them post.
Yeah,
no big deal.
He crushed it. And then Mario came third in the Spanish champs 1500, so secured his spot on the team in what was a fucking crazy race.
Insane race.
The Spanish men's 1500 is absolutely unreal. So we'll see if they end up all coming through at Worlds and putting 3 in the final and
for like the 3rd year in a row or something.
Doing all those shenanigans. So it was, those guys are just unreal. Mikhail, man, I got to say, because Mo Katir and Mario have been, Mo's run 12:45 in the 5K this year, and then a 3:29 as well this season.
Second to Jingy in Oslo.
Yeah, and we know Mario's also around 3:29. Mikhail, is it Mikhail or Machal?
Chal, I think.
Machal,
I think.
Yeah. So Machal, I don't know how he does it. He looks like not bad, but he just does not look.
He was gritting his teeth 200 meters in.
It's so funny. He looks so tough in the race, like it makes it look so hard. And then as soon as the race is over, he looks like he didn't even.
He's waving to the crowd and
didn't even run. And then he took down Mo Katir. So absolutely unreal. But one of the things that we did want to talk about today, since the kind of world teams have been getting released over the last couple of days, is a couple of countries have policies where they leave people out. And I think we're very fortunate that our countries are very inclusive. Like, I'm not sure exactly. Well, New Zealand actually is not.
New Zealand's become more inclusive somehow.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of shit in Tokyo for leaving out 200-meter sprinters that both were in the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think since then they haven't left anyone out. I don't know if the policies changed or if they just are adding people. I don't know.
Because Australia was at one point not the most inclusive. I remember I've spoken to people. Do you remember how they used to have like an A standard and a B standard? And Australia wouldn't always, I think, select people that had. They would like, you could qualify based on that system, but Australia might not select you. But since I've been eligible, Australia has been so good to me, and they've been so inclusive. Which, I know, like, it probably often comes down to big money stuff and all that. And I get it, but I hate it when they have like these super serious, like countries have like these super serious, what do you call it, like strategy plans where they say like, we're only going to take like athletes ranked in this level because like we think they're the only ones that are going to potentially, be able to get into that top 8, like what the countries are really after. Because it's just like, you never really know. And we've seen some really good athletes like miss out, and it's just sad. I don't know what I want to say about it.
To be more specific, countries like Spain, I think from Mario was saying, their reasoning for like being able to compete for something like a top 8 spot is they only select down to 32 in the rankings. I'm just picking a random number, instead of 42, which is the quota. So theirs is like a ranking one, and then I know both the UK and Ireland, they just made up a standard. Like they just made up a B standard that if you don't, even if you're in the rankings, but you don't have that time, they won't select you. So there's 2 UK steeplechasers in the ranking, both in the like low 30s, but they just made up a standard that was like 18.5 or something. And neither of them have hit that. So essentially, they won't be selected, even though World Athletics has. What do you do? Invite?
Yeah,
they've qualified for Worlds basically,
I've
but
seen
they won't be taken.
a couple people online saying that they think that World Athletics should like sanction the countries.
Yeah, that was what Sibco was asked that, right? He was like
something like that because they're just like because they're trying
whether or not they should be forced into it.
Yeah, because they're trying so hard to bring in this ranking system. Like that's like what athletics plan to try and make the sport more engaging, and then these countries are just disregarding it. And it's like, well, what's the point then? But I don't know what this. I mean, it's if it's money stuff, then I guess like it's above my pay grade, you know?
Yeah, I think Sib said the countries can just do what they want, didn't he? Yeah. I didn't actually listen to the interview, but I'm pretty sure he said the federations can make.
I reckon he probably confirmed or denied it like a politician. He kind of put it up in the air and maybe seemed like he answered the question, but didn't really.
Yeah,
because the UK athletics situation is a bit different compared to Spain. Whereas I think the Spanish Federation has a decent chunk of money, but the UK Federation has been known to like have no fucking money. They have no money, and I think a lot of the issue is that they don't have the financial resources to like send a lot of people. Whereas the UK track team is usually, that's the thing. It's like, where's the money gone? You know, and a lot of these athletes don't get that funding anyway, and they work really, really hard, and they try and get to that situation of being eligible to qualify, and they still just don't have the resources to send them. So it's kind of a blame on the federations, in my opinion. They need to sort that shit out. It's not good for the sport.
No, not at all. And yeah, it is crazy that UK. I mean, you would think that they would have the way that federations are funded is so like it's every single country is its own like case and is unique, and they're also all like generally very chaotic because they come from, they like government funded, so it's like it just gets so messy. I know the UK was funded by the lottery. That's like how they're like UK. I don't know if all like UK sports was, but like the athletics was funded by like the lottery. So they actually had a shit ton of money at some point. I don't know if that changed, but it's always so weird because like it's like a government funded thing, but it is more like a business because it's like a performance. Like the goal is performance, but then also if you bring say USATF into account, then it completely changes the dynamic because USATF makes a shit ton of money, but they don't necessarily make it from athletes performing. They make it from like youth participation at their events. So it's always such a shit show when you try to look at like the funding for the federations and then how that filters down like eventually to the athletes. And obviously along the way, there are some people that are getting very wealthy at the top of those federations normally. Not all of them, but some of them. So it's just so complicated. But when you see athletes, if that is the reason why athletes are missing out, it's sad, and you would hope that there would be some solution to it, but you just can't really say anything unless I guess the specific situation. So hopefully they can sort it out, and hopefully the Olympics countries can be a bit more inclusive for athletes that are hitting the ranking standard, because as we're seeing right now, the standards are just getting fucking wild, and they're just continuing to trend. The 5K standard is going to be 13:05, I think, for the Olympics. Like 13:07 seemed like a crazy standard for the World Championships, and I'm not sure how many people have hit it, but it's like 30 something.
I think it's 32. So 10 people only are going on ranking.
So it's a crazy time. So we'll see what happens with that. But one thing that I did want to talk about today is more of a fun topic, not a running related topic. But for those that know me, they know that I have spent all my years up to this point wondering what ethnicity I am. And I finally got some results, and I just want to share them with you guys. And I mean, I already did share them with you guys, obviously, but share them more with the listeners because it was just crazy. Did you see, like, I don't really know how this changes me finding this stuff out, but it is very interesting. So in school, you know how when you do like a class as like an icebreaker, they'll ask you like for a fun fact, and it's always like, what the fuck do I say? I think most people that are athletes just say like, I'm an athlete. That's what I experienced.
What did you used to say?
So what I used to often say was all 4 of my grandparents come from different countries. And
is that still true? past these results? It probably is, right?
It is still true. I mean, like there is obviously some overlap, but it is still true. But these are my results. I'm not going to say where we tested it through. Don't want to give them a free shout out, but just probably the most popular one. So I'm 60% British and Irish, which just makes sense. Being like one of my
Australians are.
Yeah, and one of my grandma is like 100% British, so that one was easy. 23.7% Ashkenazi Jewish, which I don't really know what that means, but I mean I know it's like Central European. So my grandfather's from Hungary, so that one like makes sense.
I feel like that checks out.
But I often tell people that I'm Jewish as a joke, but now I think I can say it for realsies. And
is Jewish a heritage thing though, or a religion? Because then I think sometimes it's a little bit of both.
So I guess I'm not. Yeah, not the religion, but heritage. I guess I have over 20% of it in me, so I'll take it. I don't really know what that means for me, but I'll take it. And then this was the shocker for me. 10% like Southeast Asian, which I didn't know that I had any Asian in me at all. So I'm like Indonesian.
It's Southeast Asian, like Indian, and is that Southeast
Asian? No, it's like the island. So it's like Indonesia and like really? Thailand and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a shocker.
And then you go down one more step. This is like my final 6% is West African.
It's also wild.
And it's like, I don't even know these. It's like Senegal and Angola. Is it Angola?
Angola, yeah. Congo.
Who would have thunk it?
Man, not even East Africa. Were they good at running?
No, I kind of thought that I was like North African a little bit, like that's right, because my grandma, like they're not sure, but that's kind of just what I assumed because I kind of wanted to make the link to running, but no, it's just West African. I mean, yeah,
I'm fascinated by that, and I definitely want to do it now when I get back.
I don't, because I feel like I'm pretty. Like mine would be boring. But Morgan, just to kind of emphasize those results, you could be a really good CIA operative because you could blend in anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
and just be an undercover operative. Yeah, that definitely confirms it. But I mean, my dad was adopted, so I always wanted to give him those tests because he doesn't really know where he came from. But I feel like he's going to be pretty much British and in that kind of regard. But my mum's side, like I know that all history and stuff, and it's pretty much just the UK and some of Northern Europe.
Your inability to tan would suggest quite a lot of Western / Northern Europe. But I feel like there could be like whether it's like the British Isles or if it's like Scandinavia. I feel like it could be either of those.
Those are pretty close to each other as well. So.
I'm just scared to find out that I'm related to Josh Kerr. I'm just scared. I don't want to find that out. So let's not go there.
Next to each other, and they're like identical.
You guys look straight up. Well, dude, what race was that? Oslo.
That was Oslo.
When you guys were next to each other, and you guys both wearing Oakley glasses. Like, which is which? That was amazing. But yeah, I mean. Those results don't change anything for me. It's just very interesting to know. I guess globalization is a crazy thing, how we move around the world. And I've always wondered because I mean, a lot of Australia is a very a lot of people in Australia are first or second generation. So there is a ton of it's not weird. It's pretty normal, I think, to have something like that growing up in Australia. But I just never knew what it was, and now I do. And I would love to somehow reconnect with those other parts of my family. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's possible because I don't know where they are. But shout out to my Indonesian
ancestors.
Tom Wang. Okay, so I sent them to Tom Wang. I think Tom Wang was he was over 50% Southeast Asian as well. So we got that connection going.
No wonder you guys get on well.
I need to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything more to say about it, but I just wanted to share it because it's another big thing that has happened in my life in the last week, and now all my family are loving it as well. Because I mean, they didn't know either.
Because that's what I was wondering. If I do it, does that mean do my siblings have the exact same makeup?
I don't think so.
It doesn't split that.
I think it depends
right?
how much. No, I think it depends how much you inherit from your different parents.
Do you look like your siblings?
Yeah, we all look like a mix of our parents. Somewhat,
because like some siblings just get more of something else.
no, we all have. None of us look identical, but we all have like shared traits. I would say, like you can
You have
tell,
twin
like when you know,
brothers.
Yeah. Okay.
you can tell. So yeah, but you could also kind of tell by looking at us probably like who inherited what from like what parent and stuff. So yeah, it kind of makes sense, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we don't really have much other running stuff to talk about today.
I have a really funny story.
Please do.
I
Please
mean,
go ahead.
I'm glad I remembered this, and I haven't told either of these guys yet. I got a funny story from a couple of nights ago, that I want to share with everyone. It's very topical. So I went to have Mo. Kindly invited me for dinner at the Bauman apartments over by the track, and literally over by the track, as in they're on like the 4th floor, and their balcony looks out over the tracks. You can like spy on
Sneaky.
You can spy on workouts and stuff. So had a lovely meal. We're clearing up and we're getting ready to play some cards. And I was just like, we were just standing over by the window, me and Mo. I'm like, I wonder who's. It's like 8:30 p.m. Like, I wonder who's out there. Like, I wonder if Jingy's out there. It's probably something he would do. Friggin', it's like almost dark. And so we look out there. I'm like, I think that is Jingy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's out there with his Norwegian training guy, whoever that is, and Henrik, doing freaking drills for like half an hour. And so me and Mo were just hanging out, like just watching Jakob. He's an interesting guy. I feel like everyone's always pretty.
He turns some heads.
Yeah, like we're spying, but it's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
He's interesting. Like he's out there at 8:30 at night doing strides and stuff, and so then like I don't know. Eventually, like Sean comes over and it's like, "What are you guys doing?" Like Elise comes over and we're like, "Oh, we're just fucking seeing what Jingy's up to," and Elise goes, "Are you sure that's Jakob? Like, I don't think that guy looks like a child. Like, I don't think that's Jakob. Like, we're on the 4th floor, so they're kind of far away, but and they haven't run or anything. Like, yeah, it's Jakob. Like, this is what he does. He goes out at night, and that's Henrik. He's a very distinctive looking dude."
Yep.
And so by this time, like all of us, like Cooper, we're all like standing there trying to decide if we were crazy to think that this was Jakob in the first place. And Elise goes, no fucking way. Like that's not Jakob. I'll bet you $100 that's not Jakob.
What?
And Cooper just immediately was like, yeah, I'll take that. They shake on it. And then, so there's $100 on the line of whether or not this is actually Jingy on the track. And so like we had to figure out how to figure this out. And well, the best way was just to wait until he finally finished doing drills, which seemed like a freaking long time. It was quite impressive actually. And there was a lot of debate going on. And then eventually he finishes doing up his spikes, and obviously very distinctive running form of Jakob, and jogs off, and it was confirmed.
And then you knew
that it was in fact Jingy. So at least lost $100.
He needs to fix the tattoo situation, because you would know if he had bigger tattoos. The little tattoos, they're too hard to see from far away.
The tattoos were like visible at 8:30 at night from a balcony.
Wow. Wait, was he working out or was he just doing drills?
Just doing late night drills and strides.
Late night drills. I've often wondered what that guy's sleep schedule is, because we see him doing his first run at like 11:30.
Yeah, which now makes sense because that he does his double at it's like 8 p.m.
Must go to bed pretty late. Interesting. I guess when you're him, you can do whatever you want and you don't have any training partners. So
he must also like if he showed up at the track at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
that's not going well.
He couldn't.
He couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of sad, because this is like where he grew up training, probably doing that. But I mean, if we're speaking about Jakob, all right, fine. I'll admit it. I watched the last episode of Team Ingebrigtsen a couple of days ago with Cinta and Joe. Show's pretty good.
I haven't watched any of it except the last episode.
Oh, I mean, I was like, it's funny because the music they use is like the most stereotypical. Like when he's winning Olympic gold, it's the most stereotypical like motivational like happy music. Like if I was trying to make a video and make it over the top, like I would use that song because it's just so stereotypical. but it still just hits. And like, I mean, I was like tearing up watching it. He's like, his whole family, his whole town is out there in where he's from, Sadness. I don't know how to speak Norwegian. At the local track watching them do it. So whatever it is, and it's just amazing, man. We should have a team coffee club show, team OAC show. So yeah, I would recommend anyone check it out because you can just watch it on YouTube. The captions are really bad. I don't know if you remember that or if you just watched it in Norwegian.
I think I do remember the subtitles just not.
They just
it felt like they were not right.
They just don't make sense half the time, but that kind of adds to the just the charm of it. Henrik in that episode gets surgery. He gets surgery here in St. Moritz, and he's I don't know, it was probably the same hospital.
Doesn't he reattach his hamstring or something?
Yeah, it's like pretty legit. Probably the same hospital you went to, Ollie, and it's got a beautiful view over the town. So it's just a good story they got. I mean, as much as I don't know. Actually, I was gonna say as much as we hate on him, but we don't hate on him ever. We give him nothing.
I feel like we don't. We give him nothing but love.
Nothing but respect and love.
Too much respect sometimes.
We got to change that. But yeah, so anything else happening down there, Ollie?
No, just trying to be like more social. I guess I went to see Oppenheimer again with my mom, which was cool because just like I guess her generation grew up with that fear of the atomic bomb, which was much more prevalent during that time. It's still prevalent now. Obviously, that's the whole point of this.
Just for the record,
yeah, that's still the point of the movie. Like that's the whole point of the movie. But I think when it was, just that aura of it was great. So we had a good chat and conversation with it. I almost bought another Xbox. I didn't know. I restrained myself because I wanted to buy the smaller one to travel with because it's significantly smaller. But I didn't because I thought, well, I'll just travel with the original one. That makes no sense. So I'm obviously my clarity mentally is top notch. Other than that, been hanging out with Gus. Took him up to Ned for the first time. We had a great time up there, running around the trails, jumping in the creek, and other than that, looking at getting another hobby other than video games. So if anybody has
that you can do without much movement is probably key.
I can't do any movement. So the main thing is if anybody has any suggestions for a guy that's not that coordinated, mental capacity is not that high,
don't say that.
DM me on Instagram. DM me on Instagram. Give me an idea of a hobby that I could maybe achieve.
Have you heard of TikTok?
Yeah, so
time.
So one of my gaming mates is sending me TikToks. I was actually thinking, Morgan and George, of starting a Twitch. That maybe I could shout this out in the pod.
You should.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of starting a Twitch. If anybody's interested in watching me play video games, I think it'd be funny. Shout out to that. Maybe potentially happening. It would probably be called the Coffee Club Twitch because Morgan has been a bit slack on the video games lately, but he's got better fish to fry. So I was thinking maybe a Twitch would be fun. Watch me play video games. It is quite amusing at some points. Other points, it's pretty boring. But yeah, I'm just looking at doing anything other than sitting on my phone.
Is surfing off limits? Probably.
Yeah, it is. I actually spoke to a couple of mates back home because I was looking at maybe doing like a surfing trip because the one thing with surfing is it's quite tiring and you spend a lot of time out in the water and then you come back and you want to rest and then go back out again. The whole movement with your pelvis is pretty important for surfing. And that kind of muscle needs to kind of rest. So I will go ocean swimming. Boogie boarding you could do. I don't know if I would demean myself to that, but I could do that. Body surfing.
You take that back. You know that I have a history.
Sorry. I know you have a history as an esky lid. I have to say probably body surfing, but I'll go for swimming quite a bit. I'm going to try and catch up with. I haven't told. Obviously, I'm telling you guys now about going to Australia, but I'd like to catch up with Morgan's parents too before they leave, depending on that time frame. But I'd probably just go home. I heard they go. I leave next week. So. I heard they go to Budapest, so I got to arrange that now. But I'll be hanging out. I might go to a festival. Might go out to a concert. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
I'll keep you guys updated. But missing my boys, missing George and Morgan. So it's nice to have the podcast to be able to engage with them at some point. But yeah, that's it for me on my end.
Become a big YouTuber. That's actually, I've already.
No, I can't do that.
I've been liking this one YouTube channel lately. I'm not a big YouTuber, but
you mean like viewer?
oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I'm not into like in terms of I watch YouTube videos, but mostly like pretty much just watch sport highlights. Honestly, like the Ashes has been on lately,
Mm-hmm.
but Jenna watches a bit of YouTube and Morgan watches a bit of YouTube, and so we were discussing one lately that I found, and I'm a big fan of it. Is that Cody Trains guy?
Yeah.
Cody apparently
Cody
he's a big
Ko.
YouTuber and an actual YouTube or something
He's
else.
he's like
Comedian and DJ and stuff.
yeah, it's funny.
But right?
Yeah. Oh,
But
he's
is he those things?
well, the DJ thing was like a bit for a video, but he's like a massive YouTuber and podcaster.
But he like goes on DJ trips.
No, he like does it.
video.
He does it. He does do it. He does do it. But I guess it is serious. I don't know. But it's like I thought it was a joke.
Maybe
Right,
it started as a joke.
I think it kind of did. I don't know.
But he's like really bad at running. But he videos
He's terrible at it, but it's so
yeah.
entertaining to
But
watch.
it's really fun to watch. It's like such a nice change from following serious runners. He runs like 9-minute pace. It's like on a good day.
He's an Iron Man
Yeah,
guy.
and
So.
he did Ironman Australia.
Did he? Oh,
yeah. And he wears the shirt, and there's funny bits about it. So just check that out, Ollie, if you want 15 minutes of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Yeah.
I feel like we could do videos like that.
We should. I mean, they're not. I mean,
he films them on his phone. Like, they're such bad quality.
Yeah, I've looked at him and like, I mean, he gets a ton of views. He's very successful. I think he's just like a master at it, though. I don't know. He's very popular, very good at what he does. But yeah, I think that's probably it from us.
I also beat Snides on the New York Times crossword for the first time. That's also what I do. I do the New York Times daily games, like the Wordle and the crossword and the other word one.
I forgot that word.
And Snide is an absolute beast at the crossword, so fast. And we have like a little leaderboard, and he beats me every day. But last week I screenshotted it
nice.
I beat him 25 seconds to 27 seconds for the New York Times crossword. If anyone wants to be on my leaderboard, hit me up.
That was very really quick. Fun. Very quick for a crossword.
I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah,
20, that was my record by quite a bit. I'm often in like the 40s or sometimes a couple in the 30s.
Hell yeah. I would love to get back into that. I remember back in our old house where every day we would all play the Wordle together. That was a good time. That was probably...
It got us through Florida.
That was probably like the most peaceful time when Wordle brought everyone together. And now, I mean, I guess it's still doing it. So it's good to see that. But
I much prefer the crossword. Yeah. I do the Wordle get out of the way. That warms me up. It gets words flowing.
Yeah. Ready to take on the big Snides. But yeah, I think that's it from us for episode 97. Yeah, lovely to see your face across the screen, Ollie. We'll obviously be in touch, but you have all our best wishes. Hopefully, Boulder is you can have a good time there even without us. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We'll see all of you next week.